And we are back on the chosen baseball journey with former MLB slugger Kareem Garcia. I'm Jonathan A. Cohen, author of the Bible 3.0. Kareem, before we start today's episode, we're in magical chapter. Believe it or not, we're 126 chapters already.
Yeah.
So the universe works in a very funny way. So I'm heading off, going to be in Arizona and San Diego, turns out, for a couple weeks. Going to
Nice.
be book tour across Barnes and Noble and meet people and sign autographs. I hope at least one person shows up to each store, but you never ever know. Maybe I'll sell out. And as luck would have it, of course, the two people I know in that area, one being this man, Steve
Yeah.
Carsey. So, Steve, as I am going into Arizona, LA area, he is on the road, of course.
Oh, that ain't right.
And then I have a buddy from a show. Being in the United States, have you ever heard of a show called The Trailer Park Boys? Ring a bell at all?
No, not a, never heard of it.
So, funny show from Canada, based from the east coast of Canada. Have you ever been Nova Scotia, that area of the world? So, it's about a couple guys from a trailer park and constantly going in and out of jail and causing all sorts of problems. Quite famous. Snoop Dogg was in it for a season, believe it or not. So I have a buddy from there in Trailer Park Boys and actor Bernard Robichaux, and best known as Cyrus. He would drive around in the trailer park in his red 1978 Corvette and always driving with his gun, saying safety always off, and with his leather jacket and screw off, I got work to do. That's what he was known for. Anyways, great guy. Of course, as I'm going to his area, the one time, of course, guess where he's going to be at that time?
Canada.
Of course. He's coming to a comic book convention. So he's going to be in the Hamilton, Ontario area, signing autographs in Hamilton. So the universe is working against me, but the universe worked for me a couple of weeks ago because the Toronto Blue Jays played a team called the Los Angeles Angels. Have you heard of them?
I have
And their bullpen coach is.
the Steve Carsey, of course.
Got to see Mr. Steve Carsey, and we got to have dinner Italian restaurant in Toronto. And the night that we had dinner was the night that the Blue Jays almost no hit the Angels that day. Did you catch that one?
I did. I catch a little bit of it.
The Blue Jay pitcher, Mr. Bowden Francis, 8 innings. I turned it on around the sixth inning. I had it on in the background while I was summarizing podcasts, and I looked up. I said, I don't think he's given up a hit yet. Uh-oh. So I don't say nothing. And ninth inning, first batter, home run, straight center field. So I see Steve for dinner. I said, so Steve, you almost got no hit there. What did you think about that? You know what his response was?
No, what?
We were a long way from being no hits. Not even close.
What?
He goes, the ninth inning is the hardest one. It's
Yeah.
so difficult. Remember Dave Stieb when twice he almost was there and that last batter, in this case, at least they got out of his system in the first, whether it's the first batter, last batter of the inning, when you're that close to no hitter, what do you think? How did Mr. Francis feel when he finished that day? You think he was disappointed or happy?
Very disappointed because I mean, like Steve said, the last three outs, 25th, 26th, and 27 are the hardest outs to get in baseball, which is the ninth inning, and he gave it up on the 25th out. So, and it wasn't like an easy, hit. It was a bomb that's the dead center. So it was a no doubter. So at least you give up a home run still, after you were not hitting the team. You still get the win, but you don't get the shutout either because you give up a run.
But you know what you do get? Probably a job for next year. That's the main thing. Like, if you're going to do this, do it around near the end of the year. And as long as he can keep things going, pretty well for the rest of the month, in September, he has a good chance in spring training looking into that rotation. So I would say good on him. Um, I watching what I did, the umpires seemed to be pretty generous with him. After that Detroit Tigers game, when the umpire came back and said, I missed that call. Whenever you have a no-no now, I feel like the umpires are leaning more towards the pitcher. Did you notice that?
They give him a little more slack. They probably give him a couple inches on each side of the plate, you know, and they won't do it on the first three innings or on the fourth. They'll start doing it in the sixth and the seventh inning. Once you establish the first 5 or 6 innings that you are throwing a no hitter, then they'll start giving you those 2 or 3 inches on each side of the plate, you know, and put a little more pressure into the hitters.
Well, Christmas came early for Mr. Francis. And in today's episode, I promise you, most of the time, folks, just so you know, I do not tell Kareem what we're going to be talking about. I want to see his natural reaction. I promised him, by the way, I got to turn on my light here. There we go. Got the light. Very important. That over the next several weeks, where topics are all over the map, he's not going to see where it's coming. And I got some fun ones. And today, we talked about Christmas coming early for Mr. Francis. By the way, these segues just come to me naturally. I don't actually pre-plan these. But a guy who's really looking forward to Christmas of 2024 is Mr. Scott Boras. And this offseason is going to be the redemption of Scott Boras. Scott Boras, it's funny, with all the clients he has and all the money he has, you got to think it's hard to keep track of everybody and when they're going to become free agents. I bet you, they talk about manifestation, Kareem. They talk about in meditation and manifest and set goals and put a project board. Guaranteed in his house, in his bedroom, in his office, in his kitchen, there's always a board of the next big free agents, and he's looking at them every single day and thinking about them. Well, he's got some pretty big turkeys coming up for him, and he's going to be making some money, and this is going to be the off season to redeem. I'm going to start off from number 5 on the way to number 1. I kind of ordered these ones, and what I think is his big emphases. Number 5, Max Scherzer's back in it.
He's gonna probably pitch 1 or 2 more years after he's 40 years old. But again, I don't think he's gonna get more than 20 mil, 25 million a year, 2 years, 50 tops, because his health is one of the biggest problems he has so far. You know, the arm and the injuries that he has in the past. He's a great pitcher. Don't get me wrong,
Hall of
and
Famer.
yeah, it's
Hall of
just
Famer.
it's just that I mean, it's too much money to risk for a guy like him with his age right now, his arm.
I foresee 1 year vesting option for number 2. I don't think 2 years 50 is gonna happen. I think 1 year, and if you show enough innings, you can have a vesting year. I think that's the best he's getting. And if everything works out for him, 2 years, 50 million off to the sunset. Not a bad way to go, right?
Yeah.
Number 4, I was debating because of the age and the history, but based on his season versus the other people, I'm going to put him down number 4, but a pretty good number 4, Alex Bregman. Bregman, the Astros, don't think he's going to be staying with the Astros just because he's going to cost too many dollars at his age and everything else. Boris has to be pretty excited about this one. I just would not leave Bregman out there till January, February. I think Bregman has to sign before Christmas, New Year's, and I think he's looking for a good 5-year contract with the usual Boris opt-outs. What do you think?
You don't think that the Houston Astros will sign him to a 4 year deal, 5 year deal with some options over there? Because I mean, he's been with them forever. He has a World Series with them, and I will think the first choice for him will be Astros to stay home and stay with the guys that knows already and finish his career over there. If he goes out, yeah, he's probably gonna be someone with the I don't know, maybe Boston, even Toronto, a couple of guys in the American League. But I will think to my heart that he stays with the Houston Astros.
I would love to see that. I am full in agreement with you on this one. My only two things are number 1, if he gets his top offer, I don't see the Astros matching it if it's an astronomical number. Number 2, will he give them the hometown discount? And being with Boris, I'm not sure, but based on what we've seen over the last offseason, he could be an interesting one, Kareem. I could easily see him ending up with a 3-year contract at much higher dollar per rather than the typical 5 to 10 year contract. If it comes out to, let's say, 3 years,
120 over 40 mil a year.
Yeah, I was thinking like 90, but it's funny we're throwing all these funny numbers out there. 3 years, 90. I can see it being the Astros. 3 years, 120 plus. A team like the Mets, you said the Red Sox, maybe even the Blue Jays, they have to do something for their fan base.
Yeah.
Could be interesting. I'm 50-50 on this one. And simply because does he want every last dollar and will the Astros pay it? This is going to be the big decision.
I think if it's between 90 and 120 over 3 years, maybe 4 years, he'll stay with Houston on the home discount because he feels comfortable. It's home for him, and moving to another team and adjusting to a different culture on the clubhouse and everything else. Where home you are basically like captain over there with Altuve, and in another team you're just one of the guys getting in there for the first time. Not too much to say. They were respected for the contract, but that's about it.
And let's throw something else out there, Kareem, because I live in Ontario, Canada. You live in Texas, right?
Yeah.
If a person gets $100 million contract, US dollars, from both the Blue Jays and the Astros, their net, their final amount that they earn after taxes is going to look a lot different, is it not?
Absolutely. You're gonna pay the Canadian taxes, the American taxes, and everything else. Yeah.
It's so
You make
bad.
home. You're gonna make home in Nevada,
It's
so you don't
so
have to pay
bad.
state taxes.
It's funny what you do the reverse, like in Texas, what you pay and then what you get net. In Canada, just reverse it because you're paying most of it for taxes. It feels like it's so bad. Sorry, not sorry, Trudeau, but that'll be the one thing that they could say is, hey, first of all, besides the fact, hey, you've been here your whole career, you know us, we know you. We constantly contend. I mean, look right now, they're in it. They're gonna make the playoffs more than likely. So there's a lot to like there. My preference in life generally is if you have a way to stay, you find a way to stay. If it makes sense from a tax dollar, even better. Stuck between number three, number two. This was very, very close for me. I know where I went with number two. I favored the hitter in this case because pitchers always make me nervous. But the top pitcher out there from the Baltimore Orioles, free agent, Boras is going to be selling this guy up and down and all around. He is
For the Boston, for the Baltimore Orioles.
from the Baltimore Orioles, their top pitcher, their acquisition from Milwaukee, Mr. Corbin Burnes.
Corbin, yeah.
Corbin Burnes is a free agent. And did he pick a time and a place? And Baltimore, a team that doesn't traditionally like to spend money, plus, but they did recently have an ownership change, which number one could help. Number two, they have all those amazing young players that are all gonna have to get paid at some point. Corbin Burnes is going as long as his arm is hanging on and nothing happens, knock on wood for you, Corbin Burnes, but everything works out for you. You are getting a monster payday this offseason. Kareem, is there a world where he's staying in Baltimore?
No, not at all. He's never going to stay in Baltimore. You see the contracts that Baltimore hand the guys, and every time they hand a multi-year contract with Davis, the first baseman, they're still paying that contract right now. They still owe like $90 million on him, and he played like 3 seasons, and he just shut it down after that. And Baltimore, every time they sign someone to a multi-year deal, it gets hurt. It doesn't hit. It doesn't pitch. Whatever. This guy is lucky. He's in a team that's on a race with the Yankees right now, one game behind the American League East, and he's gonna command serious money to someone that can pay him. And I don't think the Baltimore Orioles are gonna pay 150, $200 million on a guy like him.
Well, if you had your crystal ball and we believe that Corbin Burnes is going to take every last dollar, he's going to get the top money he can get. 5 years to 7 years, 30 something $1 million. You think that's going to happen?
I'm guessing right now between 33 and 40. That's probably what he's gonna command, depending on the team. If you're on the East Coast, where it's more expensive to live, in New York, in Boston, or if you go to the West Coast, you go to California, and you got the Dodgers, San Francisco, San Diego. Those teams they have to pay more money because of the taxes. If he went to Texas, to the Rangers, or a couple other teams, where the tax brackets are different, it might go lower. But all depends on what is he. He's looking for the best deal, and that's what Boras is going to do. He's going to sell it to the highest bidder.
Some reason I'm thinking the Yankees will be circulating on this one. They're saying to themselves, we'd love to take him away from Baltimore. We don't want to face him anymore. We're going to find a way to re-sign Garrett Cole. This is going to be a great 1-2 punch. Could be very interesting. If I'm Corbin Burnes, I'm sleeping very well at night. It's going to happen for me.
Yeah, I mean, he's having a great year, 12-7, 3.2 ERA. I mean, he's just doing good. So
I think things are going to go very well for him. A guy that I'm a little bit nervous about, a guy I predicted would go to the Blue Jays in a trade, did not happen, is our number 2 guy, Mr. Pete Alonso.
ooh,
Okay.
for the Mets, the first base, Big Bear, yeah.
Yes. And the polar bear or whatever, white bear, they want to
Oliver,
call him.
yeah, whatever,
Yeah.
yeah.
So he's a guy, I remember last year when he hit 217, and I thought to myself, not so great in life, but his numbers steady. I mean, considering where the Mets have been at this year, been good. But last year, an OBP of 318, this year, 328, another 244 average. Um, don't know. I think that he has to stay in New York. I think he's a fan favorite. I think that's where he's going to command the most dollars. I feel like Pete Alonso as a first baseman going out into this open market, career 250 hitter, career 339 on base, and it's trending in the wrong direction there. He might be surprised of where things are going to go for him. I'm not going to say he's going to end up as a Matt Chapman, but if I had to predict from these guys, Scherzer, we know his situation, but compared to Corbin Burnes, compared to Bregman, the guy who may not get that monster deal that he thinks he will, I think, is Alonso. And Alonso, I think, needs to take the 3 years, 120 from the Mets and call it a day.
And I don't know if the Mets are going to actually give him that type of contract because they could have signed him before when he got a monster year, hitting like 50 jacks and stuff like that. And they never signed him to a multi-year deal. And now that his average, like you mentioned, is 244, 28 jacks. He's probably going to hit 35 home runs this year. This is below whatever he hits normally. He hits up around 40 jacks a year. But I think the Mets saw something in him, and that's why they didn't give him the contract that they would have given to somebody else, like they did to Scherzer or they did to which we call Verlander, because they give him right away. And this is a home run guy. His whole career has been with them and never give him the money that he deserved at the point. I think they're gonna let him test the free agent. He's gonna go somewhere else.
I know where he's going.
Hmm.
Do you know where he's going?
I don't know, but I'm thinking, if I was him, I signed with Colorado right away.
Colorado all day long, of course, with that elevation, but you're close, but not close. So the Toronto Blue Jays have a first baseman, right? Vladdy Guerrero,
Right, yep.
who they're planning to play most of the rest of the year at third base. He likes third base, feels comfortable at third base. We know that from a metrics point of view, may not be considered the best third baseman, but they are saying this because we want to give ourselves flexibility to have the best available hitters and really stock up our lineup. How would Alonso look in that lineup as a 1-2 punch with Guerrero?
Oh, well, look fantastic.
And how
The
would he
thing
like
is,
hitting at that dome?
yeah. The thing
Oh,
is Toronto gonna put up the money? That's the question.
they freed up some contracts. And here's the thing, when you are in management and you're supposed to contend and you fall flat on your face, the only way to put a band-aid, the band-aid for to keep your job is just spend more money because in order to contend, you spend the money. It's supposed to be Ohtani last year. If Ohtani had come to Toronto, nobody would have paid attention to anything but Ohtani. They're hoping the same thing is going to happen with Alonso. I think they're going to overpay for Alonso. Alonso, the Toronto Blue Jay, 2025. Mark it in your calendar.
Well, we hope so, but I mean, I still see it difficult for Pete Alonso leaving the states and going to Toronto and play over there. Especially if he lives in New York, he stays in New York, he feels comfortable over there. He wouldn't mind changing from from Queens or where he is in New York to the Bronx, with the Yankees. But the Yankees are stuck in hitters, especially first baseman. So he's not going to the Yankees. I don't think he's going to Boston. He's not going to Baltimore. Toronto is a good place, but I think at the end of the day, he's probably signing with somebody else, maybe Cincinnati, maybe another team over there.
Kareem, you like Texas? You like the weather? You like the atmosphere?
I love it.
If I'm sending you a $50 million, 50 million US dollar check, how quickly are you packing your bags to move to Toronto?
By the end of the hour, probably.
Even just leave everything, just head to the
Yes,
airport. You can buy it
I
with the
can buy
50
everything
million.
over there.
Exactly. So Boris is happy now because he knows he's getting paid through these guys. He's going to redeem himself. Yeah, I guarantee he's been thinking all year on a strategy that we're not going to have what happened last year in 2024. We're not going to have these Montgomery and Chapman type situations, right? And
Yep.
Chapman's apparently going to try to sign a contract with the Giants. Good on him. But the big fish, the Otani of this year, Mr.
Juan Soto.
Juan. I call him Juan, like the number one. Can you pronounce
Yes.
it?
Juan.
Juan.
Yes, just like that. Juan Soto.
Juan Soto is going to be providing Mr. Boris and his grandchildren and his grandchildren's grandchildren a lot of money for the rest of their lives because this big contract is coming. This is redemption. I've taken a look at Mr. Soto. Kareem, every time I look at his information, it blows my mind. Just about turning 26. How is this possible? This man has been in the MLB forever. Well, debuted at the age of 19 in 2018. This year, he's going to have over 40, may even approach 50 home runs at the pace he's going in September, breaking 100 RBIs, going to break 120 plus runs. Going into September, just going into September, he already had 109 walks, which, by the way, shows you how crazy Barry Bonds was, considering how many walks he was getting near the end of his career.
Yep.
Only 93 strikeouts. Going into September, 421 OBP. Going into September, 590 slug. For his career at this point, 749 walks to only 670 Ks. A career 421 OBP. That includes the ages of 19, 20, 21. This guy is special, beyond special. Kareem, I have a crazy question for you. Do you have a crazy answer ready for me?
Sure.
Over under $500 million.
Over.
Over under, as Dr. Evil would say, $1 billion.
Ooh, no. Under.
How closer to 500 mil or closer to a bill?
No, close to 500. I think he will go 550, 580 around the number. I don't think he'll go higher than that. Plus, they're gonna give him 10 years to 12 years, probably.
He is not going to be taking the Bryce Harper deal. You've probably heard the details many times.
Yes.
No opt outs, right?
Mm-hmm.
No trade clause. That's no problem. We know the no trade will be in there. But with Boris, there's going to be multiple levels of opt outs. It's going to be so complicated. You're going to need an accountant and an engineer to figure out that contract. You could put 10 years, 12 years, 20 years, whatever you want to put. This man is going to go to opt out city guaranteed. They're going to try to have the first opt out after 5. I think he's going to get his first opt out after 3 years. That's what I'm going to project.
I was guessing 3 years, the first opt out, and the second one on the sixth, something like that.
Okay. So you ready for crazy question number 2?
Yeah.
If you're a betting man, could you see a Dodgers lineup of Otani and Soto? Any chance that's going to happen?
Yes. Knowing the Dodgers and the money that they have, yes, I can see it. I can actually see it, and probably if the Yankees don't put out the matching number, because they're gonna have to match because the Dodgers are coming strong. They don't care about spending $1 billion last year in Otani and Yamamoto, the pitcher. He hasn't pitched, the whole year after he started over there. And, they probably spent another $600 million on him.
At this point, though, throughout this year, You know they've been calling Boris every day, and they tell him, "Listen, we have the contract ready. We have the checkbook. Just tell us what you want. Let's call it a day. We don't have to go to the off season. Let's just give him the contract now. He loves it in New York. We love him. Statues, Monument Park. You have to be in pinstripes. This is a done deal." I will guarantee you the Yankees have been doing this. Why has Juan Soto not signed a contract yet? Why take the risk of an injury, anything else? Why not just take the monster money now and call it a day?
He's a young guy. I mean, he's 25 years old. It's nothing to lose. It's only it's upright. Everything is going up right now. More numbers that he put up right now, the better the deal is going to be at the end of the year. It's a guy that take care of himself very well. He plays hard, but at the same time, he doesn't get hurt. So, I mean, everybody wants a guy that is on base 2 out of 4 times. It's either for hits or for walks, but he's always on base. He can produce, he have power, he can hit. So, I mean, why not? The Yankees, like you say, he's probably calling every single day right now, and Boras and him are just gonna wait. He didn't sign a $440 million when he was 22. Well, he will sign a contract right now for 550 million for 10 years when you can wait and probably get more money.
You know who a guy who was very right about this subject, who would have maximized his dollars unless circumstances hadn't gone otherwise, was actually Trevor Bauer, because Trevor Bauer said, I studied it. I know it. You look at the money that the game is generating. If I
Mhm.
sign a 5-year deal right now, if I'm doing it based on today's economics, I am, as long as I bet on myself, what I will earn in year 5 signing right now will be much different than if I wait and sign it as a free agent in 5 years from now. And some people, prescribe to this theory and saying, hey, maximize your dollars, wait till each time. The revenues are only going up, everything's going up. You might as well just keep getting more money, more money. The only thing that's hindering that process is if you get injured or anything else. It's funny, players have opt-outs, teams don't have opt-outs. Can you imagine if there was an economic world where teams had the same opt-outs as the players? There's a lot of these free agents that would get screwed royally, thinking they signed a 10-year deal and a team would let them go in year 3. That sounds a lot to me like the NFL.
Yeah, well, the teams they only can do the teams is not exercise the option for the player options. That's the only thing that they can actually do. Other than that, everything else is guaranteed. So the upper hand is for the players on that one.
Players are pretty smart. So in this kind of world, when this kind of money is constantly getting thrown, don't see a strike anytime soon, my friend. And money is good. You're a betting man. You're going to Vegas. You put down the money. Where is Juan Soto going to be playing in 2025, and why?
It's only two teams, the Yankees or the Dodgers. That's it to me. I don't think anybody else can put up the money. I mean, Toronto tried for Otani. I mean, they can try for Soto too. It just depends where he feels more comfortable playing. Is Canada, is New York, or California?
You're Juan Soto. The Yankees offer you maximum is 500 mil, let's say, and
Mhm.
the Blue Jays come back and say we're giving you 650. Where are you playing?
Oh, go to Toronto. He's looking for the money. I mean, and you can put whatever type of deal you want. It's 600, 150 million more. You're going for the money regardless.
Well, then, my friend, Christmas may come early for Blue Jays fans because either Alonso or Soto is going to be a Toronto Blue Jay. And I'm going to tell you this much. If those two, both of them are not Blue Jays, I don't know if anybody in management is going to have a job come 2025 in Toronto from the management point of view. Like, I feel bad for them, but you got to bring a big fish and you got to create hope. Otherwise, if you keep running it back over and over, finishing just below 500, just above 500, not always going to cut it. But as we look next week, for some teams, it's going to work out because I'm going to give you a sneak preview. But next week, we're going to talk about the MLB playoff picture. Kareem, there's a lot more teams in it than I had projected. This is a pretty cool finish right to the wire. So we're going to update our playoff predictions. I'm going to give you guys all a hint. It ain't going to be the Blue Jays in the playoffs, and it ain't going to be the Rangers in the World Series. There's a few misses that we've had so far, Kareem, but we have some good, and our Phillies are still looking strong. So that'll be next week on the Chosen Baseball Journey. Please send in your questions, your comments for Kareem Garcia. Few fans writing in, letting you know, Kareem, that they love what you have to say and really appreciate your thoughts on the world of baseball. and getting a lot of thumbs up. So keep sending that positivity, people. We'll see you back next week on the Chosen Baseball Journey.